Welcome to the ATP Project. You're with your hosts Matt and Jeff, and today we have special guest Anders from Barbell Shrugged. I'm sorry,
there
too much travel.
No, you're good.
There we go. We're spitting it out.
All right.
We are here in Lake Tahoe at the moment, mate. This is obviously here for the Spartan Games.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really fun time. We're meeting together with some really intelligent podcasters from around the world, and you are first man off the bat.
I'm taking the first hits here.
Yeah. So for the guys, can you tell us a little bit about your expertise, your background, what it is that you do?
So I host the Barbell Shrugged podcast. See, I'm traveling too.
Yeah,
We've got a lot of words. And we run a network called the Shrugged Collective. So strength and conditioning, fitness, wellness, all in that space. If I had an expertise, it's all centered around a barbell.
Right.
The main 6 lifts: snatch, clean, jerk, squat, deadlift, and bench. That's pretty much my whole life. And I hang out with people that like lifting weights. That's really like the meat of where I spend my time, the people that I hang out with, and all things performance.
Yeah. Actually, we met.
And you network all of that. I've noticed in amongst all your podcasts, and you seem to be able to create a pretty amazing network. I mean, even just turning up this morning, meeting you at breakfast, and then in here today, it's phenomenal to see the vibe that's around the place. And what I love, it doesn't seem to be much ego. There's a lot of soul. There's a lot of love going on.
Well, you actually met the majority of the shows at breakfast this morning. So Ryan Fisher, who you guys are having on, his show drops on Tuesdays. Sean Pastuch, he will be rolling in here any second. But I've been professionally in fitness for a decade now, and living in gyms basically for the last 23 years. So you create a pretty good filter of who's right and wrong, and there's just a war of attrition where if it's not real, that they're going to filter out. And it's kind of like when you're 23, who's right, who's wrong, no one knows. Everyone's in the same personal trainer game, fighting over clients and trying to make their claim to the world. And then when you're 36, everyone calms down because it's like we all still want to be great at what we do, but for the most part, we realize that it's more important that we all kind of stick together and create a community of coaches that are really good at what they do versus putting each other down and creating bad vibes. No one wants that.
It's funny that you say that. It's actually something Matt and I have been talking about, and Matt's obviously been collaborating with the guys at ISSN as well too. Yeah. And there seems to be a point where you get past the ego and you actually go, actually, I can learn a lot more from other people. You know, as soon as you think that you know it all and you've got to protect your turf, and oh my gosh, if that person knows more than me, it's going to affect my standing and my credibility. And it's exactly the opposite. You collaborate. I mean, iron sharpens iron, right? You want to be around people that are pushing the envelope, discovering new things.
I spend a lot of time realizing that we're all in fitness, we're all in strength conditioning, but inside that there's so many different things that we could talk about. Whether it's CrossFit, okay, well, what piece of CrossFit are you really good at? Yeah. And I've really, just from the experiences in my life and the people that I'm drawn to.
And serious, that mosquito is sitting on your eye. I was going to ignore it, but I was like, man, no, I can't let this go.
I could see the blood sucking into
in Australia, that would have been a killer mosquito. That probably would have died then by the end of the podcast.
I saw it flying and then it disappeared because it was eating
in your
me.
eye,
I'm covering up.
We've been really lucky. I know, Ryan Fisher, he does a lot of kind of a little bit more on the bodybuilding and high intensity functional side of things. Dr. Sean Pastuch is one of the best rehab chiro strength and conditioning people. So we all kind of find our space, and in a way you don't get to choose it. It kind of chooses you after a while. And the important thing, once that thing chooses you, is that you stay in your lane and just try to be really good at that. There's no reason to try and make everyone happy and be great at everything. I just want to be good at those 6 lifts and find the people that believe in the same message. And I have a cool show and cool products and cool ways to work with people.
And you know what else I really like about your network is what you seem to have in them, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to make any assumptions here, but it's really important that we get the combination of the bros actually doing stuff and what works for you. And you know what works for you. Moving into the coach where you go, what works for me doesn't necessarily work for everyone. And then we've got the PhD students and all that sort of stuff that will run on scientific assumptions and then think, well, until we've proven it through multiple trials and that sort of stuff, we can't even say it's even happening.
Yeah.
But you need that balance. Every time you need to understand what does work for you works, because science can't always explain what's working, and then science will catch up later.
Yeah.
So having that big cross-section across those different groups, it's really important to make sure we know.
And we're really lucky that the show that we have put together just over the years has built enough respect in those communities that we can go into the NSCA and people know who we are and they want to be on the show. So we get the scientists.
For Australian listeners, did you want to, what's NSCA?
National Strength Conditioning Association. So it's probably the highest or the closest thing to working with PhDs and how it relates specifically to strength and conditioning. And their sole responsibility is kind of bringing the science to strength conditioning in a more practical way. So we can go to those conferences and meet those PhDs. We can meet the people at NSCA, and they respect what we do, and that's incredible. But we can also go into dungeon powerlifting gyms and talk gym talk all day long. And that there's a piece of that where you just have to be in the game for a really long time to be able to have that conversation. And that's something that I just love about the job, like to be able to have a breadth of people that you can rely on and filter the truth. That's like a really big thing for us. Like we can pick up on stuff very quickly if it just looks like BS. And if we don't really know, well, we can call Dr. Andy Galpin and Dr. Brett Contreras and all these people that have real PhDs that'll be able to get us the literature that we need.
That's cool. And in terms of working at people with their level as well too, that's being relatable, being able to not judge somebody based on maybe your standard, but actually being able to go and help those people up. So what was it? How did you get into this groove? Like what was it that attracted you to these lifts, and sort of where did your journey begin, and how long was it before you went, wow, this is what I want to sort of commit my life to?
Yeah, we were talking about a little bit before the show of like, well, at its most basic level, I love being in the gym. Like, I pride myself, whether this is right or wrong, I truly believe that if I may not know anybody from anywhere, but if we were to sit down in a gym together, I would be your favorite person to train with.
Yeah, right.
It wouldn't, there's no question in my mind that we would have an amazing time. And it's just because I've trained with people that are celebrities, professional athletes, all the way down to wheelchair basketball teams, and I just like being in the gym so much. And from there, I like strength and conditioning, working out, whatever you want to call it, has taken many forms in my life. When I started when I was 13, it was so I could play ice hockey. I really wanted to play college ice hockey, and that didn't work because I'm 5'8" and 190 pounds, and that's just not big enough.
Right.
And then, you get into college, and it turns into like, well, I need girls in my life, so now I'm into bodybuilding and trying to get bigger and have a physique, and like I'm trying to do this stuff. And then CrossFit hit, and that was really where if there was like just things took off fast. It was me finishing high school sports. College was its own journey of partying a little bit, training, but you don't really take that stuff too seriously just because you're hung up in the social scene. But man, CrossFit gave me this thing where I could go play sports again.
Yeah, right.
And I could compete with my friends.
Yep.
And on top of that, a lot of people found CrossFit, but a lot of people didn't find CrossFit with 10 years of experience already.
Yeah.
So when I showed up, I was very good at CrossFit right away.
Yep.
There was no learning how to squat. There was no learning what a clean, like I might not have been great at them, but I knew how to do them, and I could instantly implement all the years of training to instantly knowing how to be good at that sport. So CrossFit was the launch pad. That was me, like it just going off the deep end of strength and conditioning is my thing. And now I have a sport to play, so I can express this passion, this love that I have for working out, and now it's something that's real.
And you get the whole cross section from celebrity through to wheelchair almost in the CrossFit.
Absolutely. And that's what led to everything. That's what led to me working with all those people. So I had a corporate job coming out of school, which didn't fit my personality at all. It's not like it was bad. It's not like I was an unhappy person, but I knew that this was not
What
for
was
me.
it?
I was in government contracting, so I wrote proposals for intelligence work at Northrop Grumman, which is so far. Like, I mean, I literally wore khakis every day. Had like my tucked in polo. It was just brutal. Like, Like, I want to be.
It's funny though, because I mean, a lot of guys listening to this, younger guys as well too, and it's like they don't know what they want to be when they grow up. But the funny thing is, I talk to a lot of people, and I know some 20-year-olds that don't know what they want to do, and they're really interesting people, and meet some 40-year-olds that still haven't worked it out. Right? So
there isn't like a clear path.
No, there's not.
And if you can't commit to just having that not clear path, like when you go to those jobs, they hand you the money and they say, if you do this, I will give you this amount of money. You're like, well, that sounds like a great deal. Until you do it. And then
you go, this
sucks. It's like, okay, well, you're going to be a personal trainer. You have no clients. Okay, well, how much money do I get if I have no clients? No money. Well, that's a problem. So there's no clear way to make it in strength and conditioning. CrossFit, I went back to grad school, got my MBA, and realized like I just can't go back to work at that place. So I opened a gym. And
what type of gym was that? Just
CrossFit gym.
CrossFit gym.
CrossFit Pacific Beach in San Diego, California. So it set everything off. I had $60,000, my partner and I, and I'll never forget, we had $61,000. We spent $40,000 on, we had to put the deposit down, rent, buy the equipment. We didn't even have enough money to fully put mats down in the space. 10-foot ceilings. It was
oh wow.
It was brutal.
So when did you start podcasting? Did you start podcasting early in the days with that too?
So Barbell Shrugged was the very first strength and conditioning podcast. 2 years ago, I became like an equity owner in the company, and that I was training partners with Doug, who you guys met inside, for a good 2 years, and Barbell Shrugged was selling a piece of the business. They were looking for the next thing. I was ready to rock. We had a great relationship, and they brought me in to be the host of the show. So that was kind of like right time, right place, and all at the same time. In my own head, it's like everything was leading to that moment anyways. It just had to manifest into...
Because it's interesting, because we started ATP is interesting because for anyone out there that doesn't know the story, ATP Project is a podcast from a company, ATP Science, which we started with $60,000, which is equivalent to that's $60,000 Australians. That's $10 American. And then and Jeff had that hidden away in a secret stash for playing poker. And so, but we were both reading this book, and I tell you, it's funny, we had this synergy when we first met. We're talking, we're saying these, almost like completing each other's sentences. And then and what we realised is we're both reading the same book. So we both had these things like, oh man, we're so in sync. And then we both read the same book, which was Marketing Without Money, because we had none. And we used the first $60,000 to make a product. And then our only real form of advertising then was the podcasting and local seminars. So we used to go around to all the local seminars. The bodybuilding scene was quite cliquey. The CrossFit group accepted us with open arms.
Open source, everything.
And the supplementation was very similar but different. Like with the bodybuilding community, a lot of the pre-workout stuff that we would do for pump, because with the bodybuilding it's all about pump and swelling up the fascia and getting all that to stimulate the hypertrophy. CrossFit, that ruin your CrossFit. Totally. Your pump is going to wreck your day.
Too much oxygen.
So we were all in the back. So we were like, okay, so pretty much, if I could tell you one thing, bodybuilding versus CrossFit, well, whatever bodybuilders take pre-workout, you take post-workout. And we used to do these seminars. We pretty much had a bodybuilding a product that was suitable for both, and we just go do the bodybuilding shops, take this pre-workout, then we go to the CrossFit, take this post-workout. Awesome. And it was the same sort of thing. But that was and CrossFit really picked up, because we picked up a couple of good athletes that really, and the network was so amazing, and they wanted to share. So, and this Spartan group seems much the same.
Actually,
Spartan's awesome.
There's a lot of really great people inside, the Spartan that I've met. Talking with Ian as well too. I don't know if you know Ian. Anyway, he's it really reminds me of a fresh movement that's all about the people, which is really cool. And really about helping people. But I want to come back obviously to where you were, because I love the entrepreneur. Obviously that's where my side is. You come back, you've got 60,000. You spent 40,000 on this gym with 10-foot ceilings.
Yeah, it had 3 months of rent.
Yeah, and it's
we
like
were done.
You're crossing the Rubicon, right? It's like sink or swim. If you don't make this work, you're gonna go do your die.
Well, there was another layer to it as well, where when I was in grad school, I convinced my boss to let me work from home. So I went to grad school in South Carolina, and then I moved to San Diego without telling them, and then I opened the gym without telling them. But I was 3 hours ahead or 3 hours behind them, so I would wake up at 5, send a couple emails so they knew that I was awake and working, and then I would disappear for 3 hours, and then I would come back and send a couple emails, and that was just like the flow of my life. It was 5 a.m. Acting like I was working, and then I would run the gym. We'd run noon classes. We'd run night classes. I would just sprinkle emails in. If I had conference calls during classes, I would just take them, put my phone on mute. I would coach. And if somebody needed me for something, then I would just, oh, sorry, I just lost you guys. I don't know what happened. And I became very bad at my job.
It's going to make a great movie.
Right. I was going to say, but there's always a hustle. With this, when you're not coming from money, when you're sort of on the bones of your butt, there's a hustle somewhere.
Yeah, right about that time too. This is really funny. It was Tim Ferriss put out the 4-Hour Work Week.
Yeah, that's
read
true.
it. It's great. Yeah, loved it.
And it was great. It was also one of the most frustrating books I had ever read, because as I was going through it, I was like, I did all this. I know this hustle, and it's not nearly as easy as he's making it sound. It's incredibly hard to work 4 hours a week. Because the other thing you're doing is the real hard work. Wherever you're trying to go is always way harder than being bad at the thing that you currently have. So I mean, and I would love to think that I'm some genius marketer, genius entrepreneur, all this stuff, but we hit CrossFit at the right time. We opened, and on day 3, I think we were profitable. Wow. I say profitable, that means we made $100 that month, but
it's profit.
It was profit. It made us feel like there was a future. 8 months later.
What year was that?
2010.
Wow. So that's right in the early days.
We hit it. And we hit. It was. I tried to open a gym actually in 2007, but the girl that I was dating at the time got into school for her MBA at South Carolina, and it was like, well, do we stay dating or do we break up and you open a gym? And I was like, oh man, this is really tough right now. This is really hard. And I ended up going back to school, which was probably better in the long run. But we hit CrossFit at the right time. And on top of that, if there was a caricature of who CrossFit was in those early days, you could have very easily just put my face there. I was 27 years old. I had 13 years of training already in. The competition scene was just taking off. The games were becoming a big thing. The regional competitions were becoming a big thing. And I was going to be the face of the competition, and I wanted to be really, really good at it. And that's where we went. And along the way, I learned how to be a coach. I learned how to communicate. I learned kind of what made me special compared to everybody else. You learn how to run a business, and then you kind of learn about marketing and stuff like that. It was relatively successful gym. I sold it 6 years later and did pretty well. Feel pretty good about it, especially for a first business that I had no clue what I was doing.
That's genius.
It's the days after selling it really became kind of the dark times. Just because I didn't know after CrossFit really who I was, because it had defined me for 12 years.
So you didn't sell out to do something else. You sold out because the time was right, and then
I sold because I fell out of love with CrossFit. Over the course of being really deep into the CrossFit scene for 10, 12 years, I mean, it was really that long. I like to say I was inside one of the first 1,000 people that really picked up CrossFit. You start to just see stuff. I always approached CrossFit like it was a sport. Like it was really a place that I could go play sports and be good at something.
Yeah.
And it's not that you can't modify things. It's not that CrossFit's wrong. It's just sometimes that intensity for some people that aren't prepared for it.
Sure.
It's not good for them.
Yeah.
And over time, you start to kind of see some people coming in and expecting something when I wanted them to maybe not do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I felt like at that time was I had lost control of the messaging because CrossFit grew so fast.
Yep.
So if somebody comes into my gym and loses 100 pounds and has a great experience and their friend sees them on the streets, like, well, you know, what are you doing? Instead of them saying like, oh, well, I'm doing personal training with Anders and it's working really well. And here's the nutrition. They'd be like, I do CrossFit.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, you are kind of a version, but we're doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, right.
And that, whether it was my own ego, whether it was, I don't, you know, there's just a process, and that stuff just started to get to me where I just kind of wanted to break away and create my own product. And something that I was very fortunate. One of our members, his name's John Cena, famous guy.
Like the wrestler dude?
Yeah, so he was he was my training partner. I was his training partner for 4 years, and he was like a very silent investor in our gym. It helped us a ton. I mean, I got to watch one of the best entertainers in the world operate for 4 years straight and see the inside, see the inner workings of some of the best. And that's so. He invited me to his house one beautiful day. We hopped on a private jet, flew across the country.
It's kind of surreal.
It's a really cool story just because, you know, I started training because I wanted to play Division I hockey. I never got there. And then I started CrossFit because I wanted to go to the CrossFit Games. And those were like the big goals. Like I was aiming really, really high to go do these things, and I never got to them. But I did get to train with John Cena, and he did invite me to his house, and he had this fun competition that happens in his private gym called the 1 Ton Challenge. And you snatch, clean, jerk, squat, deadlift, and bench. And while you're there, if you can total 2,000 pounds, then you get your name written on John Cena's garage door.
Yeah, right.
And I may not have played college hockey, and I may not have gone to the CrossFit Games, but my name's on John Cena's garage door.
That's so cool.
So he's been like just a very influential person. That's like kind of like the crescendo moment of like, you did this, like strength and conditioning, no matter where you thought it was taking you. And this is kind of gets into a lot of the kind of emotional and borderline spiritual side of how I feel about the gym, of just, I think that the barbells in the universe are just taking me somewhere. And if I just keep doing the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, which is having fun, being in the gym, inspiring others to try to get stronger. John Cena is just part of my journey. And I don't know where the future of it is. Right now I'm here, which is awesome.
I was going to actually ask you what you wanted to do when you grew up.
Well, the thing is I think that I've found what I want to do for a very long time. And that takes a lot of work to find that thing. And it is the 1 Ton Challenge. So he's very much on board. We talk about it all the time.
That's so cool.
He's got business people on his staff that are like very aware of what we're doing. But we run the 1 Ton Challenge, and we go to events. We bring in tons of influencers and Olympians and all kinds of stuff, and see how large are the totals. And then we run programs to help people get to 2,000 pounds.
Cool.
But it's great because we're really just kind of all living this big story, right? And that's to date the coolest thing that's happened to me around the barbell. And if I can share that with other people and have them go on some similar journey, that's
excellent.
That's kind of my purpose at this point.
But the life lesson there in terms of, you don't always know where you're going to end up. You start down a path and you think you know where you're going to go, and then sometimes opportunity and or disaster, which actually is opportunity. You just don't recognize it, right?
Totally.
And it's like you end up in a place and you go, you know what? This is actually probably better than maybe what I was planning.
And it's really one of those things of like, I wish people... There's a lot of times it's hard for me to talk to people about working out or exercise because I don't know what they mean.
Yeah, what do you
when
mean?
they go in? It's like that. Some people go like, well, when they go into the gym, they exercise.
Yep.
But I go into it and it's like, it's the thing that centers my life. Like if I don't go for 4 or 5 days because I'm on vacation or something, my wife knows.
Yeah.
She's like, he needs to go train. Just get him out of the house. Let him go swing the kettlebell around. Let him go lift weights. He'll come back. He'll be normal. Like, and it's something that every day I just continually, even 23 years later, I'm genuinely concerned about learning about it.
Well, I would dying to ask you something because there's a theme I've been noticing. I've had a bit of a journey this year myself, but there's a theme I'm noticing around the place, around with the self-love and things like that. I've been talking to a few people about what you said before about CrossFit. There was that big networking community thing, the cheering on stuff, that support network. We were talking about that death race or something this morning. We were breaking people down. And what's your philosophy on that? When you go into the gym, I can't imagine you as the sort of person that would want to break someone down to motivate them. I don't.
No.
Are you? If this is your place of sanctuary and you've got this soul and the spirit and this community and all this sort of stuff, I can't imagine you being that sort of person.
Not
that
even close.
Would be mean.
No.
For lack of a better word.
Hosting Barbell Shrugged, it opens doors, right?
Yeah.
Doors that I've thought about opening my whole life.
Yeah.
And now I get to hang out with these people that are the best in the world at what they do. Whatever that tiny little thing is that they're the best at, I get to learn from them. And, a lot of people want to know or ask me on social media, like how should I get better at this? And I'm like, honestly, you just have to love it so much and you have to do it every day. And you have to really be emotionally and mentally checked in, and it just has to matter so much to you.
Yeah.
And you still might not make it.
So do you have a lot of consults with people? Like, do you talk to them? Because you said earlier that you don't know what training or exercise means to different people, and so for example, a lot of people might train for fat loss with intensity and aggression and self-hate and angst and all that sort of stuff because I ate too much or I missed a day at the gym or I let myself get so far out of whack. And you change that perspective, and all of a sudden you can get results.
Yeah, I just want people to have fun. It is. If I walk into a gym and it's quiet and no one's really it drives me insane.
Yeah.
I want it to feel like we're all in a locker room together.
Yeah.
Chopping it up and having fun and making jokes.
Hyped up and fun, not angst and aggression.
It drives me insane when I see a coach come in and they walk over to the whiteboard and they're like, I need 3 rounds of this for the warm-up. And then here's the workout. And I'm like, do you think anybody in this room right now cares about the workout?
Mm-hmm.
No. How are you making everyone in here feel?
Yeah.
And I realized in my very first class that I ran at the gym, literally day 1, that my job is not in a way to be a coach. I'm a performer.
Yeah.
And I have to put on a performance every hour to ensure that it is the best, most fun, awesome hour of that person's day, because that's the thing that's going to make them come back.
That's awesome.
If I have the greatest coaching cue in the world, they don't care. They're going to get results if they show up every day. It's impossible not to.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to reach their goal as long as you keep just going. And so I realized very, very early, and my ultimate litmus test for how well the gym was doing was Monday morning at 6 a.m. How many people are there?
Yeah.
If I'm staring at 30 people in the morning, I'm probably doing pretty well.
If
there's 10 people there, probably not doing very well. No one's motivated to get there. So if I can wake up and I'm at the gym at 5:30 and I've got enough coffee to make a really good joke and make fun of myself and make those people's 6 a.m. awesome, that's why people want to go to gyms. I never was I'm going to push people. I want them to find out what they're made of. But yelling at people, being that over aggressive, no, just let's have fun. It's all, I just want to play. From the day I was born, I just wanted to play sports.
Yeah, and
this is the way I get to play sports.
Yeah,
business is the sport we get to play forever. CrossFit was the sport I got to play for a while. Hockey I played for a while. I want to play. I want to have fun. Exactly. And if everybody's doing that, then we win.
That first career that you're speaking about, it was soul destroying for you. Well, it sounded a little bit like that. You know, you just went there and you're just pushing through the numbers, and it was, sure, it might have been a great pay packet, might have been safe, but you're prepared to risk that all, prepared to risk all the money that you had at a shot at something which actually made you happy, right? It's like, and I think the key to life, and again, you hear it time and time again, and I was actually having a chat with the taxi driver on the way up here as well too, is that, money, whatever, but life, it's the moments. It's about enjoying it. It's fun. It's about who you experience life with, and you can have all the money in the world and drop dead tomorrow, man, and have a miserable existence.
The money doesn't. If somebody handed you all the money and you didn't have the struggle and the experience and understand why you had the money, that's when you see people go crazy.
Yeah.
But if you're in the gym 12 hours a day doing the thing that you love, you know why the money showed up. It was because you created enough value, enough people loved you back, that it mattered, and now you have money.
Energy, isn't it?
Money's like the biggest lagging indicator of value that exists. It takes you. I have this. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I would almost guarantee that if you talk to anybody that has an idea that starts a business, at 6 months, they might start seeing something come back positive, because that's a lot of work in that first 6 months to be like, oh, wow, it kind of worked. But it's 2 years. It takes at least 2 years to find out if you're even on the right track, and if you have a real product that matters, that people are doing. And it's, I hate sounding old, like, oh, these Instagram people, and they think that you can just go and put a post up. But there is an odd instant gratification piece that people think exists, and it just isn't true. There's 2 years, and that in that 2 years, you're supposed to suffer. It's supposed to be really hard, and it's supposed to break you. That's when people quit. When it gets really hard. And if you make it through the hard part, then all of a sudden you get to have fun.
Well,
you get mastery as well.
And your brand creates a personality, and you suddenly become authentic. All of a sudden you get to understand what really matters to you, because that's worth fighting for. A lot of the other stuff that may have been associated with market research or something like that, that's not your true core values, disappears quite quickly. And what you truly believe in, and what's authentic and genuine, and that's what works.
I mean, it's a great question for all of us, but people ask oh, how do you do it? It's well, what do you pay attention to? Because all I think about is strength conditioning. All the time.
So you got to love it.
You have to.
There's that video I watched once with, what would you do if money didn't matter or something, and it said,
just
do
train.
Exactly, and then you become an expert at it. Whatever it is that you do enough and we put enough effort into, you will become the expert at, and experts get looked after.
Exactly. I would go train, and while I was in there, I'd probably try and talk to somebody next to me and try and make their experience better, because then we'd all be having more fun, and then it just grows. It's, in a way, it's so simple, and the problem is that for 2 years it's going to be really, really hard. And then the next 2 years is going to be really hard too. But you're chasing this thing that you love, so it makes it very easy to get up and get after it.
Right. And it's your dream. There's no point doing all that work for someone else's dream, because then they sack you anyway.
Or they can.
Or they sell out, retire.
So tell us about Barbell Shrugged, in terms of, obviously, how you started that, and how, what got you into that, and sort of what's your driving force for keeping that going.
So I was not actually a founding member. Doug and Mike Bledsoe started it in 2012. And it's actually a really funny story, but Joe Rogan had just started his, and one of the members at their gym was a pizza delivery guy who would just go around and listen to the bad audio Joe Rogan, and he was like, you guys should start one of these, because he assumed that the conversations that they were all having in the gym in Memphis, Tennessee was a great conversation, and people would want to listen to it because they all love strength and conditioning. So they bought microphones and just started recording their conversations, and nobody else was doing it. There was a couple things that really set the show apart. Really high quality audio. They cared a lot about the way that.
And when was this? Sorry,
2012.
2012.
And then over time, Doug is a genius when it comes to launching and running online digital information products, so training programs. Right. That was a big piece of our business. And then just as it progressed, there was a technology piece, CRM system that we sold for a long time, and then we sold that piece of the business in 2016, I want to say, 2017. And then that's when I was brought on because they were looking for like the next step.
Then they could afford you. No,
more or less. No.
They got 3.0. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and I kind of was in the right car at the right time. The whole relationship with Doug started, kind of going back to like just loving what you do and trying to figure out how to be better at it. The real reason going even further back, if I can get you in the gym, I know you're going to have the best time in the world. But Doug, who I respect so much, even before we were business partners, lived like half an hour north of me, and they used to have this breakfast it was like entrepreneurs breakfast, so everybody could just get together, network, do the thing. But it was a little bit out of my ability to go to every week, and I didn't want to get hung up in that. Like I didn't want to be just the breakfast guy. So I went there one time with the intention of like, I'm going to sit right next to them, and I'm going to figure out how I can get them in the gym training with me, because if I can get them in the gym training with me, then I'll have training partners, and then I can learn from them. Because I wanted to, just learn and be better at what I did, because they were great at it. And that process led to just a 2-year-long friendship in which I really learned a ton. And then once they sold that piece of the business, that was just there was a breaking point in which they needed the next thing. And I was confident enough to say, hey, I'm ready to step into this role. I'd like to be an equity partner, and here's my like ideas of where we can go with the business now that there's kind of an open runway.
That's so cool, and that's what you say is so true, because what people are looking for ultimately, is what's in it for them on a personal level as well. A lot of our stuff too, because I was that naturopath for 20 years, and that was the whole thing. When you had an appointment with me, you're going to have your mind blown. We're going to explain stuff about your body that you've never known before, and we're going to put it all on a mind map, and you're going to understand what's happening. We may not, and then together we're going to work out a plan on how to fix it. But those people were never the same after that. And a lot of our early investors and things like that were people that suffered chronic fatigue syndrome, and we fixed them and said, if you ever do anything, let us know. We'll put some money in, Like it was, and even met Jeff and Tony indirectly through that sort of naturopathic little network. That's amazing, But you need a good team around you to build that proper structure. Because if you are a good naturopath, or if you are really good in the gym, you can't really honestly be expected to also be an expert when it comes to business.
No.
So because if you're doing that, so it's so important that you have a network around you. So for a lot of people that listen to your podcast in particular, are trying to learn how to become a successful business coach and that sort of stuff, or successful business as a coach, you might need to partner up sometimes with some people, and don't ever be afraid of partnering.
Absolutely. I'm really, really bad at a lot of things. In fact, I think we terrible.
I don't adult at all.
Yeah.
I don't adult.
Yeah. I have. I don't. That's awesome. I'm very good at the things I'm good at. I'm very good at talking to people. I connect with people really well. There's, I left home when I was 14 years old, so navigating social scenes is something that just I didn't know I was practicing when I was 14 years old, but now I'm very good at meeting people in the middle, and that's my secret skill that I didn't know that I've been doing for the last 25, 30 years, whatever the hell it is. It's just in me. I love it, and that's the thing that I thrive on. And Doug runs the business.
Remember you made me do that questionnaire? We did this questionnaire. They made me do this questionnaire, a Gallup protocol or something. And it lists off what you're good at and also what you're bad at. And they said to me, and they even said it, the purpose of this is to find out what you're good at, so you only do that. And the stuff you're bad at, don't do. For the life of me, I did not, whether I didn't believe them or whatever, I probably spent the next 12 months trying to fix the stuff I was bad at. And by the end of that, I became mediocre. I was not good at anything. And not even the stuff I was bad at was even sufficient.
Do you know what we see in the gym business so bad is great coaches trying to like open gyms.
Right.
And you go, wait a second.
Yeah.
You're not going to coach.
Yeah.
Once you become even remotely successful, you don't coach anymore, because if you're coaching, you're not doing the other things that are going to make your business roll. Like right now, all you worry about is coaching. And that's great.
Yeah.
What do you know about marketing? What do you know about finance? What do you know about, can you read financial statements at all? Do you have any experience knowing where, like, what a balance sheet looks like? And you could learn all those skills, but don't quit coaching to go open a gym thinking you're just going to be the best coach in town. It just doesn't work like that. And if you are okay saying, this is the thing I'm good at, it's coaching, and I need to hire everyone else around me to run the gym, then sure. But you better have a good plan for that, because that's usually the visionary, usually the CEO, COO. Those are the people that end up having to do those jobs. And
they're good at it, and they love it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Let them do it.
That's the stuff that I love to do. Like, I love being kind of the visionary and creating the products and getting people bought into what we're doing and getting people excited, because it's fun. And I think that what we offer is just, it's on its own. The goal of really where I'm at and why I love what we're doing so much is powerlifting is this sport that comes with everything that powerlifting comes with. These giant humans, they're wearing their squat suits and bench shirts and all this stuff, and it's not really accessible on its highest level, and it has a weird vibe to it sometimes. And Olympic lifting has its own thing, and it's super technical, and it comes with this old guard of these old white-haired men sitting in a corner in a chair with their head to the side, like nodding if that's like the right form or not. And CrossFit's got the conditioning piece, and they're all these strength sports, but we're kind of the only one that sits in the middle that we can draw from those. And and
it's the fun bit out of all of them, isn't it?
Yeah, like
no one really wants to do burpees.
And that's really what I'm so excited about, is that we can bring people in and just give them the experience over a 2 to 3 hour window in the gym, and get people excited. Like, I'm emceeing events, I'm meeting the people that are doing what we're doing, and it's like, you see the smiles, and they're having fun. And that's all I want. Just have fun. If you keep having fun, you'll keep being here. It's so simple to me.
So demographic, old, young, male, female, experienced, not experienced. I mean, sort of, who's the sorts of people that can benefit from this?
The majority of the people that we work with are people that have been in training for somewhere around 3 to 5 years. I actually struggle mightily coaching completely new athletes. The novice athlete is definitely not my spot anymore. That conversation is fantastic for some coaches. It's just, in a way, it's just passed me by. I like having a higher level conversation. I'm also so incredibly comfortable saying, I have no idea how to make you the best in the world. Like, that's out of my, those people are having fun, they're doing their thing, but it's not like a group of people having fun together. That's like a person that is a freak of nature. They need their own coach. They need their own everything. I just don't know how to take you from great to best in the world.
See, and you said before, by staying in your lane. I remember speaking to Matt, and he'd been extremely successful in Australia as a naturopath. In fact, he used to travel up to Mackay, and you'd have like waiting lists of people, and it was getting incredibly hard to get into. And I said, why is it that you want to stop doing that? And he said, well, a couple of reasons. I can help one person per hour. He goes, if
they do what they're told.
If they do what they're told, right? Whereas if I do the podcast, if I educate people, if we create products, we can help. It's virtually unlimited how much people we can help. And he said, and secondly, I'm tired of talking about poo and periods, right? So it's the same thing with the novice, right? I mean, and there's somebody to help them. But what you're doing is the best for you and for your clientele when they're ready.
As simple as we can try to put it together as a mission statement, we make strong people stronger.
That's cool.
Like, we aren't interested in the first 3 years of your training career. I don't want to teach you the mechanics of a clean and jerk. I don't want to teach you how to snatch. I don't want to introduce those concepts. But once you have that concept relatively dialed in, come see me. Come talk to me. I know how to make you really good at it. I definitely don't know how to make you the best in the world. And I don't want to make you the best in the world. I have friends that I can tell you to go talk to. but I can make you very strong.
Do you get I'm just guessing, but would you get some of your clientele, the people that have been at the gym for a while, that's kind of the plateaued and they've sort of run out, they need that yeah.
That's exactly who it is. It's and I come from the CrossFit world. Greg Glassman, I've only met him one time, but he's probably one of the biggest mentors in my life. Just kind of showed me. This is the thing I think about Greg Glassman all the time. He was a personal trainer that had a great idea.
Yeah.
And he built an entire system around it.
Yeah.
And he believed that he could change the way fitness is consumed in our country.
And look at it now.
And the world.
Yeah.
And look at him now. He's got $1 billion company.
Yeah.
Like when the contract with Reebok comes up, is that going to be $1 billion contract on top of everything else that goes on?
Yeah.
Like it was already a $100 million contract with Reebok over 10 years. So what does it look like? Is Nike really going to be able to put down $500 million, like $1 billion? Like, I don't know what the number looks like. I don't know how profitable all that is, but he was a personal trainer in a Gold's Gym in Santa Cruz, and someone gave him like 50, 60 grand to open a place in this junky little industrial park.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why can't everyone do that?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you?
Mm-hmm.
The difference is he started when he was 20.
Uh-huh.
He was a gymnast. He had really good understanding of, mechanics and how to coach, and he was probably around great coaches. And he just did it all the time. And he built this system that worked and inspired the shit out of people. Like you mentioned education. Like you can educate people through a podcast and reach tons of people. Like those are the people that I connect with. Like I want to teach. Education has to lead everything that we do in order to help people get where they're going.
Yep.
And if you have a great message behind what you're educating them on, then they want to be a part of what you're doing. That was like the core principle of my gym. We had 3 tenets that we had to talk about every single coach's meeting, which was the very first one was educating. Like, what do we want to focus on, and what do we want our members at the end of this month? How do we know if we succeeded? And then inspire. Did they take action? And then entertain. We have to talk about entertainment. There has to be entertainment value in what we do. You're not allowed to sit up here and just preach and then hope someone takes action.
Yeah.
They have to have fun.
Yeah.
And if it's not fun, no one's showing up. And that's how we structured meetings. That's how we structured classes. That's how we I used to talk about to all my coaches, we had to master this idea of the 3-minute conversation. Like, so my gym shared a wall with a coffee shop. There was like a freezer in the middle, so we didn't kill all the people drinking coffee and working. But being that close, all of your members are at the coffee shop, then they come to the gym. But if I'm at the gym and I want to go to the coffee shop, I have like 10 people I have to talk to just to get a cup of coffee. So you start to realize that these conversations are a skill. How do I talk to somebody for 2 minutes?
Make their day. And still get my coffee and get out of there. But I have to do it to every single person. So how, as coaches, can you run a class with 30, 40, however many people are in that class, touch every single one of them, make them all feel special throughout the day, they all learn something. That's a giant problem that gym owners and coaches need to solve. Yeah, absolutely.
So there's a skill in having a 2-minute conversation with every single person you meet, and you have to know what makes them happy. You have to understand what motivates them to be in the gym. It can be like these little tiny things. Like, can you remember 2 or 3 things about each person that really like just dives into their life and makes them feel connected to you? And how do you relate to that? Can you make a little joke to make them laugh? We have to just practice these skills because coaching is such an art, and you're entertaining the people that are coming to your show every single hour. And
that's
sometimes
so refreshing.
when I see people that are just up there talking about movements and talking about sets and reps, they're missing the greater point of the fact that this thing's got to be the best hour of everyone's day.
Yeah. Well, the need of humans is pretty much all the same, right?
Yeah.
You need people to care.
And they want to connect to what you're doing.
Yeah, especially today's day and age. I mean, there's so much, with all the social media and all the other emailing, we're not as connected. People aren't having to talk all the time.
It's almost a false economy. It's like we think we're connected because we're connecting through social media.
Thousands of friends on social media.
Not really any intimacy there, you know what I mean? And that's the thing that we need.
One of the greatest things is when somebody... Like, we go to these events to meet our audience, and you get to see them, and it's like a legitimate interaction, right? We go to the CrossFit Games, and that's our audience. Those are the people that listen to us every week. They feel like they're in the room with you when you're talking. But it's not you don't feel that every time when it's just the three of us sitting right here.
Yeah.
It's when you actually get out and they're like, oh,
Yeah.
that show that you did.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking to those guys. Man, I felt like I was there with you. And you're like, oh,
they do.
Oh,
and they
my
come up.
gosh.
Remember on that episode when you said
Yeah.
this? And you're like,
No.
no. But that's cool.
When
you
someone
do.
writes
It
you a
resonates with them, right?
When someone writes you a note and they're like, oh, I felt like I was there because I just wanted to like say something. And you're like,
Do you go
awesome.
to trade shows? Do you have like booths in trade shows?
We
and all
don't
that sort of
have
stuff?
booths, but that's what the 1 ton challenge. That's where
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
kind of launching this
Oh.
this thing. So
We do that. We have our little booths because we sell our
Nice.
products and that. But we have these people coming up. Everyone else in these bodybuilding shows or something, we get coming up. What flavor pre-workout do you
Yeah.
have? People coming up crying, wanting to tell us their story,
Yeah.
get photos with us. We had like Josh Lenardowitz was top 10 bodybuilder in the world on our booth with us at Olympia. People were
You
coming
guys
up.
had Olympia this year?
Last year.
Oh, I was going to say, well, how did I not see
Yeah,
you?
and they people coming up asking Josh to take photos of us from the podcast. They're us in top 10 bodybuilder in the world at a bodybuilding event to take photos of podcasters because we'd helped them so much.
Look,
And
something about that too, and my wife brings this up to me all the time, is we get to do what we do for a living. We love it. It's incredible. But we also have an audience that loves us.
Yeah.
We have people that are genuinely grateful that we're in their lives. It's not many
no, it's a
professions
privilege.
that you go to that you can have in your life that where like you're genuinely liked and people reach out to you and say we appreciate that. If you're in a corporate setting, your boss is just making sure all your stuff's done. You might have a great boss. You might have, he might congratulate you. You might get a raise, but for the simple fact that we get to do what we love and people love us back and they feel like they learn, it's the greatest.
It is cool.
Yeah.
And Tony always says to me as well, because we go to these shows and I say, man, it's just overwhelming. It's actually really, really humbling. Yeah. And you're talking to these people, and especially, when we've given them some information and Matt's broken something down and it's actually changed their life and they've gone, oh my gosh. And Tony says, that's great. But she goes, if they actually really get to know you, they probably won't like you. So
No, we
Right?
That's so true.
Totally.
keep trying to keep me humble, right?
Keep it surface. Keep it
absolutely.
surface.
Yeah, no. But look, thanks so much for
This has
coming
been
on.
awesome.
It's been
It's been
really
fun.
really
This is my
good.
first international podcast.
Wow.
Incredible
wow.
moment.
Yeah,
No,
well, you know that song,
been
I
more.
woke up and I was big in Japan. Well, now you can say I woke up and I was big in Australia. right?
Well, we have to get to Australia. We actually have a really good following in Australia, and
Yep.
people
Great.
reach out all the time. So
Yeah.
there's a trip coming. The problem is I have a 15-month-old right now that
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
put her on an airplane for a day and a
been there.
half.
We've done
and
that.
It's gonna be
Yep.
it's
Yep.
gonna be tough.
I'm flying back to Australia next week for my son's birthday and then flying straight back. So
Unreal.
crazy
It's
days.
crazy.
It's a great
What
life.
we do. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
an
yeah.
amazing life.
Yeah, it is.
I mean,
Yeah.
the thing is, and I say, sending Tony a message going, I really miss her because I've been away for a week now.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm going to be away for a bit longer, and Matt's away a lot. That's the stuff that's the hard
Totally.
part. That's the
Yeah.
hard
Absolutely.
part when you're
Yeah.
away.
It
And you as well too, right?
It just started hitting me
Yeah, and your
actually
family.
that we, for the first time, I got dropped off the airport and she cried and I was like,
Yeah.
oh no,
Yeah.
oh you know what's happening, but you
Yeah.
don't really know.
No.
You don't know that I'm leaving for work. You
Don't
just
know
know
you're
I'm
coming back.
leaving.
Yeah.
So there's been definitely an additional like thing that you feel when you leave,
Yep.
but.
And at that age, they change so fast. You mean you
That's
go back a
crazy.
week later and you can't. You're serious? I've missed
Yeah, I know.
things.
Yeah.
You know.
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
we get to come here, hang out with you guys like you,
Well-
and meet everyone, and it's just awesome.
It's great. I'm looking forward to doing more of these podcasts.
Yeah.
It's really great been having you on,
Yeah.
Anders. Yeah, sorry, I sort of really like to get down to the nitty gritty of the
It's
why.
good.
That's for me. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, we
You
can
know,
do more
it's really
podcasts
great.
too, you know?
It's really,
Sure.
really great. Yeah.
When you come to Australia.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have you on.
Where are you guys at in Australia?
Brisbane.
Brisbane.
Brisbane, cool.
Yeah. Nice. Lots of heaps of sun.
Yeah.
We're doing a summit this year in November where we've got all these experts coming from everywhere doing some amazing stuff. So if we get it, we might do that
Get some
annually.
momentum.
We might have you guys there for the next year.
Yeah.
Let's roll.
That'd be
Yeah.
fun.
It'd be
I've been
fun.
dying to do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So, very cool.
Well, thanks for coming on, mate.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you guys so much.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Thank
we
you.
get to do it in person too. We
Yeah.
get to shake hands when it's over. It feels so official.
No Zoom.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
No, thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back with more from Lake
Alright.
Tahoe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Woohoo.